is reality? Obviously, no one can say because it isn't words. It isn't material, that's just an idea. Reality is... cannot be explained in words.
What up? Welcome to Really Though, where we are searching for what's really real. Back again. And our first official episode is me, Jason Soto, aka Cookbook, and my man Nesto, aka Ernie, aka Ernburn, aka Ernestito.
Ernestito, yeah.
This is episode 7, but it's kind of like episode 1. It's like we did 6 episodes of our. It's like the prequel. We did the prequel, and now we're starting. This is ground zero. This is like where we really, beyond our stories, beyond all of that, we're gonna get into like the topics, the meat of the podcast, if you will. You know what I mean, right?
Right. Hell yeah.
And so, you know, how you feeling, man? I think we're doing a pretty good job so far. What do you think?
I think we're doing good, bro. I mean, we're, bearing our souls,
True.
Opening up about shit that we never talk about to
Really?
each other, to no one.
Yeah, you're
and
right.
Now
bro.
the world has access to it.
For real, like for real, bro. And you know what? We may not be good at rapping, but we are good at talking and bleeding our souls out, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Fuck all that.
Well, shit, man.
Let me dive into that, dude.
Yeah. I'm gonna pass it to you. Let's get started. So here's what I was thinking. Like, this whole podcast is tackling like a humongous thing, like a galactic, universal thing, with religion and philosophy, why we're here, all of these things. I mean, and there's so many intricate little avenues of thought or different ideals that we could tackle on our first official episode beyond our stories. I mean, there's the gospel itself, there's faith, there's, different sects, denominations, there's discrimination, so many issues that we could branch into. And we're like, what would be the most important jumping off point? What would be the thing, the catalyst, the match, if you will, that will spark the fire of this podcast? And I said, Ernest, what is that match? What is the first subject in this humongous thing that we have grown up in? What's the first subject that we should tackle?
Right.
What did you say, Ernest? What is it today?
I said, how about cussing?
Cussing, bro.
Cursing. Yeah.
The very first episode is going to be about our motherfucking very first motherfucking ass, goddamn cunt-sucking, cock-sucking, asshole motherfucking episode. It's going to be about some motherfucking cursing and cussing and swearing and shit, motherfucking bitch-ass, butt, lick, cunt, clit, ass shit, damn it, hell. That's what we're doing.
I should have made a list of you went through every.
I think I did.
Everywhere.
Did I miss any? I don't know. I'm sure. Wanker, some other kid from other countries, right?
Oh my God, bro, that's man. So good. I want to do a song with it one day. I think that would really be done with as many cuss words as possible. It would be crazy.
I mean, that's like every song in a way. What was your thinking behind? Not just breaking down, but like, why did you feel like for this podcast, like a good jumping off point would be to discuss cussing and cursing and with all that? Like, what was one of the things behind it?
One of the things was kind of like for new people that don't know us and like are just listening because maybe somebody passes it on to them, like, oh, they're going to be talking about, all these different topics and stuff. To start off with, one of the things that's super offensive that holds people back from even listening or receiving sometimes from certain people It just seemed like the perfect thing, because that's one of the things that I know that I grew up hearing was so damning. Like if you said certain words, you know, God doesn't like that. He doesn't like you. The Holy Spirit is offended. Like there's so much like spiritual offense to these English words, right? Not even specifically the heart behind them, just the words themselves. That's what I grew up hearing. Like, you know, don't say that. Like,
I mean, you sold me on it too, because I was like cursing, but then to think about it too, it's almost like you said, new people or people who don't know us, like we discussed, should we cuss on this podcast?
Right.
Because we could easily censor ourselves and just, you know, let's keep it cool. We're like, nah, fuck that, basically. Because we're like, let's be who we are.
Right.
And then you were like, I have like a message inside of me that can speak to the heart of somebody who might be offended. It's burning like a bright candle on the inside, and I will no longer hold it under a bushel. No, but for real, like you were like, let's talk about cussing first. That way, when people hear that, then they hear the rest of the podcast, and we're just being ourselves. If we drop an F-bomb or say shit or whatever along the way, they're not. If they're like, let's say, coming to this podcast and they're still like churchgoers, or they have some sort of faith or some sort of moral in their heart that doesn't allow them to use that cuss word or whatever, we're hoping that with this episode, with this explanation, they'll still feel free to listen to the podcast, to engage with the ideas of the podcast, and hopefully interact with us. And it could be a great dialogue because, you know, again, like we always say, like the stuff we talk about on this podcast, it comes from our heart. It's what we believe. It's what we've experienced. It's all of that. But it's not, this podcast is not, we're not trying to convince somebody to change their mind, or we're not out here trying to deconvert anybody or sway anybody from their beliefs or their lifestyle or their rituals or whatever. It's really just about us being us and us discussing between you and I the things that we're feeling, and then sharing it with the world and saying, what do you think? You know, that's why we always say, like, matter of fact, we didn't say the email at the beginning, but that's why we always say that like, please, we want people to email us. We want to be challenged. We want to hear your perspective. We want to know if you have something historically or, you know, whatever that you can offer, say, no, that's not true. This is what happened. Because we're open to making mistakes too. We're going to say a lot in the heat of the moment. We're going to say what we feel. We're going to say what we believe is true. We could be wrong. Fuck it, right? We could be wrong. So we're always inviting you guys. So this podcast, we want it to be an interaction. We want it to become a dialogue, not just between me and you, but between us and the people that listen. So make sure that you always email us. That's ReallyThoPodcast@gmail.com. So make sure you do that, because it's really important to us, because we can't really, if it's just me and you all the time, now we're just in a little tiny 2-man echo chamber.
We don't want that.
And we don't want that. We want to grow, you know. The tagline is searching for what's really real, right? So the point is that we are searching for truth. We've been searching for truth for a long time. And now we're just doing it real publicly, right? We're just putting it on a podcast and saying, here's, jump on where we're at. This is where we're at. And we're going to pick up from here and just do it in front of people. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
With people and on and on and on. So I just want to say that, because once you said like, hey, I think we should start with cussing, my mind was not even remotely. But I'm glad you were thinking like that, because you know what I mean? You were like, oh, no, dude, because we can really establish another foundation. Not just telling the stories, but like our character, our nature, our personalities. And then it frees us too. We can just be us and talk about the things we talk about and let it loose. So again, ReallyThoPodcast@gmail.com. It's very important that you guys email us. And you know what, bro? Since we're doing like a little announcement section, before we get into the meat of the discussion today, I wanted to tell the people that we have a new merch store.
Dude.
Brand new. If you listen to our other podcast, Felipe's Garage, you know that we've had a merch store for a while. But I made this merch store special for this podcast. We've got the logo t-shirts, and we got the classic logo t-shirts.
So dope.
But if you listen to the other podcasts, you'll understand why I made one particular item in the merch store, and that is the official Really Though socks. And that's because damn near, I don't know, it was like 18 episodes on Felipe's Garage. We were just getting all over my man Ernest about his whack ass socks. So I was like, we got to lace Ernest and everybody else with some hot socks. You know what I mean? So we have the Really Those socks. We got the t-shirt. I think we might have put sweatshirts or something like that up there. And then speaking of Felipe's Garage, that's our brother podcast. So you can check that out. That's where we wild out. We act crazy. You know what I mean? We have fun. We talk about movies and comics and, you know, nerd shit. We talk hip hop. We talk all kinds of stuff, you know. Yeah. And I don't know how much Nesto will be crying on this podcast, but on that podcast, he cries a whole lot. He gets angry. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see how it goes over here. That's with our homeboys King Vector, and the homie E Green. And,
I know. They pull that shit out of me.
Oh, man, I know. And E Green is a part of another one of our brother podcasts, which is the Hip Hop Digest Show. So if you don't listen or you're not subscribed to those two and you're checking for us, you need to go subscribe to both of those because that's like the trifecta. You know, we're a fucking tripod, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
One can't stand without the other. So anyway, man, I guess that's all the announcements. The link for the merch store will be in the description of this podcast and every single podcast after that. This podcast is free, but, you know, it's a great way to, from the jump, support the podcast and get a dope t-shirt. I know y'all saw our cover art and our logo.
Yeah.
It's dope.
God, dude.
And we have 2 variations. So, you know, eventually we'll switch to the other one too, and that'll be available. But anyway, I want to get into this, man. We've done enough bull. You know what I'm saying? So pass it off to my man Nesto. He's going to set it off, and I'm going to chime in when I want to chime in. So.
Hell yeah. So what's so interesting about this, bro, and you'll relate to this, and I know even for the future of like the next topics we get on, this is the first time I have gone to the Bible in a very, very long time. Man. Like, you know, with the whole mentality of like, I got to study and pull some shit out. Yeah. Because one of the things that I wanted to hit on right from jump, just in case somebody wants to like bail out on this podcast and not hear the rest, I'm going to hit you with some strong facts right from jump. Okay. Did Jesus cuss in the Bible?
I wasn't even up on this, bro. I mean, you tripped me out when you told me this, man. And I've read the Bible cover to cover many times.
Bro. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to read this. I'm going to read a couple verses and then get into the meat of things. And then we'll, you know, track backwards to like, you know, that because it, you know, it's real important. But I wanted to, I wanted to bring this out. All right. Now this is a quote from the Sermon on the Mount. And I want to read it from, okay, I got into Greek translations, man. I went hardcore with this.
Damn, you went to other translations, bro?
Yeah. The actual Greek translation, it's almost like Spanish. It's kind of like almost like broken English, how it's laid out. But this is what, I'll read it from the regular. I'll read it from, let me see. This is so good. It's Matthew 5:21 through 22. See,
bro, you already know we're a good religious and spiritual podcast, man, because we're starting right off with scripture.
Yeah, right off with scripture.
Hit it off. Matthew what? Say it again.
Matthew chapter 5, verses 21 and 22. Okay, so listen to this. So Jesus, talking about on the subject of murder, says, "You have heard that it was said to the people long ago, 'You shall not murder, and anyone who murders will be subject to judgment. But I tell you that anyone who is angry with a brother or sister will be subject to judgment. Again, anyone who says to a brother or sister, 'Raka,' is answerable to the court, the Sanhedrin court of the day," right? Mm-hmm. First of all, imagine having to go to court for a word that you said out loud in public.
Yeah, like if you said "fuck" and they're like, "Whoop whoop,"
so on the ground, sit on the ground. You got to understand how hardcore that word "raka" is for the government to say you're held accountable to them for that word. So you think of teenagers of the day saying rocka behind closed doors or whatever.
Yeah.
But out in public, oh, bro, you going to jail. What? Oh,
Yeah.
go work? Yeah, okay. So he's saying, now you've heard about that. All right, I get it. That's nice. You're answerable to the Sanhedrin if you say rocka, right? To the court.
Yeah.
And anyone who says you fool will be in danger of fire of hell.
Damn, bro.
Hellfire. Okay, so
tripping. Whoops.
Fool, bro. You fool. That's so next level. Okay.
You're getting excited, bro. I see you like.
I am. There's so much. Okay.
So you have to go to court for saying rocka, and you have to go to hell for saying fool.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, how, that's translated, which we'll get into in the future as far as what hell really is versus what we've kind of been taught hell is, as far as the afterlife versus an actual burning place where they took all the garbage of the city and burned it. There was a place that was known as that in the translations.
Damn, but Nesto, you sound like a preacher right now, bro.
But the word raka is like you good for nothing. Like,
that's what I was gonna ask what it means.
It means worthless. Damn,
you know what's trip, bro? My homie Raka from Dilated Peoples. His name is Raka.
Really?
Like, dude, if I knew for sure he would answer, I would call him right now and say, "Where'd you get your name from?" And I wonder if there's any correlation, or if he was like, yeah, from the Bible, it means worthless or something. Because he's pretty, no, I'm serious, because he's pretty like knowledge, dude. He might already
mad calm like that. Yeah,
totally. I was gonna go with fool, but I thought, I might be a little too much. So let's go with rock. But yeah,
it sounds dope too.
Yeah, I'm sure that
we're gonna start using it. Now we're gonna start using it.
Rocka. God, Rocka.
Okay, so obviously within those terms, fool is stronger, right?
Yeah.
Rocka means worthless, but fool was something that was taken like, it's like the lowest of the low to say some shit like that, right?
Nowadays, it's just like being a fool could be someone acting silly, or it could be like, in a more proper definition, it's like uneducated or stupid or dumb or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, this is what, and we'll get into this a little bit later, even more so in depth, because I know we'll be talking about it.
Yeah.
But just the English language is so different compared to these days. Just like back in the day, they had one word, we use one word, love. They had multiple variations. We know that. We've heard that many times. Agape, there's like so many different variations, but we say love, just love. That's it. And they're like, no. There's brother-sister love. There's friendship love.
Eros.
What? Yeah, right.
I like that.
Agape love, like the greatest of power. But for us, no. It's just one word. So when it comes to these, we have to understand that there's so many generations of translations, not even just in our culture, but from culture to another culture that even hands down to us. One thing we'll get into on this podcast in the future is the name Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeshua versus
Joshua.
The English word Jesus.
Right.
And how people put so much emphasis on, no, it's in the name of Jesus. Well, if
my homie, his
really,
name is Jesus. What about that?
What about that? And does your translation of the word matter to the actual effect of what's supposed to happen based on that word? Or is it about the heart and the energy that comes out behind the word that passes all translations?
You bring up a good point, because you could look at, we're kind of making a grand sort of gesture, like Jesus cussed, y'all. So why are you tripping? But obviously there's context too. He was teaching. He was like, yo, let's talk about murder. If you kill someone, you're in trouble. But you know how you get in more trouble? But or he's saying not only is murder bad, but saying this bad word is bad. And I've heard even back in the day, some preachers would do some stuff like that. They might be a little edgier, and they wouldn't cuss just for the sake of it, but they might throw it out there to make a point or something like that.
Right.
I kind of feel like, I know we're joking with it, but I kind of feel like that's what he's doing there.
Yeah, totally.
Just to be real clear, this is what I'm talking about. I'm not, Raka is what I'm talking about.
So he says, fool is much more, it's just a heavier, harder. In those days, it meant something way worse than even raka. So he was just saying, you know, when you're trying to judge these things and you're saying, no, murder's bad, but I can say anything. He's saying, but look how strong words are. They really do have power behind them. And we have a higher standard, supposedly, to walk by when it comes to what we say. So don't think just because you're not murdering somebody, you can say all kinds of murderous words and hurt the core of people and be okay. Yeah. That's basically what it is, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so here's the big thing, bro. Here's the kicker that's going to kick us all off. Okay, so we know Raka's bad.
I don't know. He's pretty tight. He raps good. He's a good dude.
Right.
Shout out to Raka, man. Shout out to people forever, man.
Okay, so check this out. I was like, okay, so in Matthew chapter 23.
Oh, damn, we getting more scripture, bro?
Oh, yeah, bro. We have to.
Yeah, Matthew 23.
Multiple verses. We have to establish it like this. Matthew chapter 23, I'll read, the main verse is 17, but I'm going to read 16, 17, and 18 just for the context. Okay, so this is Jesus. Okay, so now this is a different sermon. This is a different time. This is a different day than the one where he was talking on the mountain and just explaining like what you just said. I feel like Jesus was saying it and he slipped the word in, but he's not just out saying it at anyone.
Yeah, exactly.
So now we have established one thing first. Jesus actually said a cuss word. With a little side note, but he was referring to a cuss word.
Right, in his teaching. Okay. Yeah.
So now what we want to get into is, did he ever say it? Just say it. At someone in a sermon, right?
With all that energy you got, I'm guessing yes is the answer.
I'm guessing.
You got a lot of energy coming towards me right now, bro. I'm pretty sure the answer is yes.
Just a lot
I'm gonna go out on a limb. Yeah. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say he said it. In Matthew 23, even. I'm guessing maybe like verse 7.
Right. Okay, so he says this. Woe to you, blind guides. You say if anyone swears by the temple, it means nothing. But if anyone swears by the gold of the temple, he is bound by his oath. You blind fools.
Ooh. He said the worst one. He didn't even say Raka.
You blind fools. He didn't even say you're like some blind fools.
Yeah.
You blind fools. Which is greater, the gold or the temple that makes it sacred? And you say, if anyone swears by the altar, it means nothing. But if anyone swears by the gift on it, he is bound by his oath. So he's getting into these particulars. And of course, he's talking to the Pharisees, you know, the hierarchy in that day.
The church.
But this is what's interesting, dude. Even you and I know, without going into a whole lot of history of Jesus's communication with people, he was way more harsh with the Pharisees and those people than he was people that were uneducated about things of God. Like right.
Hey, what's up, bro?
Just regular people.
He was like, hey, what's up, bro? Raka.
Right.
Dude,
there was
man.
There was no hardcore, like, aggressive attack.
Yeah. You are Raka.
Yeah. Or just for them not knowing shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There wasn't that type of stuff. But with these people, with their arrogance.
Hey, wait a minute. What do you mean these people?
These people. These these religious leaders of the day that lorded over the people and were kind of like, you know, slave masters in a way, because they walked with that arrogance of, because of the position we're in, you're lower than us, so abide by what we say and shut up. That was the vibe from what we read that they carried. And so he confronted from scripture, you know, what we read, there was a gang of confrontations that were way more harsh than anybody else. And that goes to show you now, I've already proven he said, outside of just saying what not to say, he said it.
Yeah, he used it.
He used it. So we could just end it there and go, Jesus cuss. Because there's multiple times, and if you remember, just offhand, bro, how many times Jesus said, you fool?
Yeah. I feel
That's
like
used
it's
a
in the
lot.
Bible a lot. Yeah.
We never took it as anything because we're
You
like,
know what?
fool.
Because it's not a cuss word to us.
And
You
you,
go, hey,
if you
fool,
said
what's
some,
going on, fool? Jeez. That means every freaking cholo in the world is going to hellfire, bro. Because they be saying,
bro,
you get that, hey, what's up, fool? Hey, fool.
what's
What's
up,
going on,
fool? I know, and
Oh,
and
you're done.
that word fool nowadays is used like how we say nigga.
Mm-hmm.
Same way. At the end of a sentence, shit that has nothing to do with black people or any race at all. This nigga, that nigga, fool.
Oh, check this fool out. Hey, this fool.
This fool, same thing.
It's the same way we use motherfucker. Like, look at this motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like,
bro, exactly.
It's not, we're not literally saying, I think this guy fucks his mom. I'm not saying that. It's just, it's like saying dude or this guy, like, look at this fool. Look at this motherfucker. You know what I mean? It's like that. And that's interesting too, because it is context, you know what I mean? And
100%.
And also, you know, I don't know how I'm not advocating, I'm not telling, like, if somebody is under 18 and under their parents' authority, like, say what you want, bro. I mean, that's between their parents. But at the same time, like, it also comes with intent and the meaning that you're placing behind it. Like what you're saying is a whole different thing. You know what I mean? And it's also, but it true at the same time, it also is how the recipient takes it too. Like, and that goes with a lot of words.
Dude.
Because you could say certain things, like, I'm trying to think of an example, like, God, I ate like a pig or something like that, right? I might say that about myself. And that's a normal thing. But maybe I'm at a restaurant with some dude who, to me, doesn't look overweight, but he's a little sensitive about his weight or something. I'm like, damn, bro, you ate like a pig today. And that could deeply offend him. And then I'm like, oh, so to me, I could say it all day. But now I wouldn't say it to him anymore because he don't
or he could have a pet pig, and pigs, intelligence wise, they say are smarter than dogs.
Right.
Literally. And if he had a pet pig, that could be offensive because people's pets sometimes are like their children to them.
That's
so that
true.
could hit him like, wait. Pigs don't, wait, what are you saying about pigs? He'd be like, what?
I'll be like, you're offended off that, bro? I was just feeding your pig bacon yesterday, man. He loved it. He loved it. And I think that would be more offensive than the word, the phrase.
He loved it.
He loved it, bro. He was eating the shit out of it. No, but you know, it's true what you're saying. Like, but so here's the thing. Like, in a society that we live in, especially now, it's a lot more sensitive and a lot more words are bad words. A lot more words are potentially offensive.
Right.
I think that we have to find the line of being ourselves and not willfully offending people too. Like so for example, like if it's just me and you didn't like the word fuck, and me and you are homeboys, I'm not gonna be like, yo, fuck that. I'm me. You better accept me. Like, but if I'm hanging out with you 2 hours a week, I can't chill on that word. Like, out of respect for my homeboy. But then sometimes, like in this sort of public setting and what we're doing here, you know, it's not, if we got an email from one dude that was like, I don't like the word fuck, it's like, then you probably don't like our podcast because So it's a weird and delicate balance, you know, but it feels like though more and more like society is, as it tightens up on certain words, it seems like it loosens up on a lot of other words too. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Like you hear bitch a lot more on TV. You start hearing shit a lot more on TV.
Bro, yeah.
I watch...
And girls calling each other bitches.
That's crazy.
It's next level. But they mean it like fool and nigga. Same way. That's the context that they use it.
Yeah, they do. Like, these are my bitches or whatever. Like, bitch, what you doing? It's like normal.
Bad bitches.
And some people are very offended by that, but then a whole lot of people aren't. Some people are like, I like the way she calls her. I wish she called me bitch. What's up? Let me be.
I know. It's like empowering to them to take it back in a way.
What I was going to say, just as an example of how it gets loose, is the show Breaking Bad. So every season, there was one F word that would get used, right? it was like one that they were allowed to do, and they would slide it in once a season, right?
Oh, I didn't realize that.
And so the actors even became like, oh, I want to get to say it. I want, it was like a thing, right? Like for example, the most famous one was when Skylar, I fucked Todd. Remember when he was like, they're arguing back and forth. She goes, I fucked Todd. That was like the most memorable line of that, right?
Yeah.
Everybody was like, who's going to get to say the F word? So now I watch Better Call Saul, which is the prequel, but it's the newer show. Bro, this season is season 5. Like, I swear, like, they've said the F word at least 3 or 4 times in the whole season. Like, there's 10 episodes.
Wow.
Like, a lot. I'm like, damn, bro, I was just getting a little looser over there. Like, maybe because of the freaking coronavirus pandemic, nobody's at work at the FCC checking. Like, slide it in. I'm sure.
You're right.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying that kind of a joking way, but it shows the example of how, like, the things that traditionally were like cuss words now are kind of like unraveling a bit, like to say shit, is not a big deal, or to say damn or hell. Dude, when I was a kid, to say damn was a big deal.
I know.
From biblical sense of damning someone is like saying damning them to hell.
Right.
And God forbid you said God damn it. That was like blasphemy.
Never.
Yeah. Nobody gives, even like, I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of church folk or religious folk that are still real, like, don't say damn. But like, for the most part, people don't really care anymore about that, or saying, hell, or whatever. Matter of fact, I know a lot of preachers or people that are like very into the church and this and that. And I've seen preachers that it seems kind of contrived almost, but they like cuss because they're just trying to look down and cool. And no, we're cool here, bro. We drink beers. We do. And we say shit and stuff. We don't say it from the pulpit though, but like, like when you're hanging out with your bros, I'll say shit and fuck, and it's cool. Like, we're relatable. We're going to put our hat on backwards and tell you how cool we are. But like, it does happen, but I'm down with it. Like, just relax. Everybody can relax. But then there's other things that didn't used to be bad words that are becoming more like, forgive me, but like retarded. We don't say retarded. We don't, dude, that's retarded. Remember,
bro, right.
Our parents would never correct us on that one.
Never. No.
Like, man, that's just, we would say shit to our parents. But like, oh man, that's retarded. And then our parents would be like, yeah, you're right. But like now it's like, no, dude, don't say it. And I agree with that. I think it's a little harsh because it's saying, that a condition, you're using that condition as a derogatory term towards somebody. Like, if they are that, and you're saying that is bad. And so you're saying the people who actually that condition are bad. So it makes sense. You know what I mean? The same reason why we don't say the F word that rhymes with maggot. We don't say that anymore because it's the same exact same reason. It's like, that used to mean, that just means like a punk or like a whatever. But like, no, if traditionally it's referred to as this group of people, and if you say it like that, so it's weird, but there's some things that I think like people need to relax on that are not even cuss words, just in general, ideals and stuff like that. But that probably is a whole other podcast episode. I know I've kind of
I know, but that's how it is. We're gonna float into
I know.
But staying on topic, like what you're saying, dude. Like, you think about one of the things that I think angered me when I was coming through this transition of like, coming out of the hardcoreness of it was, well, how is it that this group of people is okay to evolve when supposedly the Bible doesn't evolve? It stays what it is, but now all of a sudden we're okay with certain things that we weren't. Why all of a sudden, why aren't we dressing like they were? Why aren't we taking hardcore looks at the fact that racism is highlighted and is made to seem simple, and some people didn't like it and wrote about it, and then some people were like, no, your slave should be this and that, and it's like, why are we you know what I mean? Not to get into that right now, because those are specific ones that we're going to definitely dive into, but that comes up with the same thing about these words, bro. There's got to be some kind of leniency within the Christian community, hopefully, to not bear that burden on themselves of tiptoeing around these words, thinking a God of love is ready to attack them when something comes out of their mouth like that. You know what I mean? when we're talking about the levels of your heart and how, you know, the motives of what you're saying and things like that. Like, you know, some of the articles, because I read a gang of shit when it comes to this topic that we're talking about. And one was just like what you were saying. The real problem with swearing offense to others. It's just some of it comes down to respect. It's just like, we're not going to wild out cussing the way that we talk in the pod in front of maybe our moms. Right?
No. Yeah. I'm not going to do it.
In
My
public,
kids.
necessary. That's out of respect. Not like, nah, nigga, I'm hard. I'm going to say whatever I want. There's some people that feel like that, and they're like that. Bless them.
Yeah.
That's your journey, dude.
Yeah.
Not
there are
everybody
people like that. Like, everybody gets that same energy.
Yeah. Right.
I'm not like that at all. But when I go to the house, I'm nothing like I am with my homies on Felipe's garage or whatever. It's like, you know, it's like I'm talking to my kids, like, yeah, little motherfucker, get your out. Like, talk to my kids that way. I'm like, come here, buddy. I love you so much. You know, it's like,
I know.
Because, you know, like you said,
to me, not like, for some people, they would say, oh, well, you being fake. You're not the same all the way around. And then I would say, well, isn't there a such thing as balance? Yeah. If there's a balance, that means it doesn't lean all the way towards one way or the other. There's that middle, so that, you know, within whatever situation you're in, you have that scale of balance. Like, I would say, like, even if, like, let's say a place that you go to that's a black tie affair. You're supposed to be in a tie and a black suit, you know, whatever. Yeah. But you go in like, nah, nigga, I don't dress like that. This is how I dress. This is how I like to dress. And then you go in t-shirt, jeans sagging. It's like, well, that's inappropriate for this setting. So you might be escorted out. Is it a racial thing? Is it something against you? No. They set a standard and they said, this is how you're supposed to dress at this restaurant or this event. Yeah. So why not respect that? How is that not being true to who you are?
The thing is that everybody is multifaceted, right?
Right.
So it's like your work voice. You know how people have that joke about you got your work voice? Like we have our Felipe's garage work voice, but then when I'm out, if I'm, you know, with all the limo tales that I've told, you think I'm in the car talking like I talk with y'all on Felipe's garage? No, I'm switching that shit up. I'm trying to get paid. I'm not, you know, it's like,
exactly.
I'm not a different person. It's just there's many facets to Jason Soto. There's many sides of me. There's different parts of me. And some, they're exemplified. Like the majority of the time, the same energy's there, the craziness, the this, that, and the other. But, you know, again, like you said, with my mom or like other people, it's like, it's just, and with certain people, you're a certain way too, based on your relationship with them.
Totally, dude.
Like you and I, like, I love having you on the pod and on this pod because there's a rapport that you and I have that I know that I'm going to draw something out of you and you're going to draw something out of me too. Yeah. Very specifically. There's a specific kind of thing. And that's what everybody has. Like, I got a homie named Angel that I grew up with. And, you know, when I was younger, we were just two silly ass kids, just how you are. But when I see him or talk to him now, you just kind of reflect back on those times because that's the point in time of that you know him as, right?
Right,
so
right.
If you were to hear me the way I joke with him or some of the we'll say our old jokes a lot or say new jokes, but in that old relationship style. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. And like, if y'all heard me like, who is that? But it's a part of me. It's a part of my life. And it's how I relate to that specific person.
Yeah.
And there's a broad general sense of who you are. And then there's specifics with, you know, it's like, obviously when you have a wife or a girlfriend, a boyfriend or whatever, there's definitely specifics for them that nobody else gets. Does that mean you're being fake with everybody else? Hell no, that's for them.
Exactly, dude. That is 100.
So it's the same thing to me with words.
Yeah.
It's like, I talk how I talk and this is how I talk. You know what I mean? And do I tone it down at home? Yeah, I'm not going to wild out with my children just right there. Although if they hear me cuss, I'm not going to trip off it either because I'm also an adult and if I have to have a conversation with them about adult words, I will. You know what I mean? And they're not, you know, they're not retarded. Just kidding.
Right. Right.
Just kidding.
But see but that's the thing right there is, you know, a lot of people grew up with parents that didn't really explain that. So they had to learn on their own. Right. And then sometimes learning on your own, you don't take into account that maybe that's not always the best way. So if you're in a position where you've learned something, it's good to pass that down. Not everyone is going to catch it the same way that you do and just naturally handle words and handle atmospheres all the same. They're gonna think something's evil or wrong or bad about this thing or that thing because how I grew up, we didn't talk about this or we didn't hit on this or there wasn't.
You just don't do it.
You just don't do it.
Let that word come out your mouth, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. There's another good example with Jesus, like a sermon. There was I don't know what verse this is, but there was a situation. You'll remember this too. I think it was after the loaves and fishes, like that sermon that he did. At the end of it, there was a group of people that came over to him and they started questioning him and they were asking him about what did it mean what he was talking about, because he was talking in riddles. And he responded really excited, and he goes, and he looked at them and looked at his other disciples, and he was like, see, this is it. For you, it's to know the mystery of the kingdom. But for all those massive crowds, they're going to be without it.
Yeah.
And he says, because you stayed and really wanted to know, what does this mean? For them, they came for the food, they came for the drink, and just being in a big crowd and being the in thing right now. And then they all bounced. And he didn't cuss at them. He wasn't mad, like, you got to forget you. But he was so embracing the people that were like, no, hold on. What does that mean? That didn't make sense to me. So that to me is kind of like the same thing for our Christian brothers and sisters in speaking within certain groups, the way you speak. Like there was a gang of people during that day that only saw or heard poems and riddles from Jesus. Parables for years, bro. That was their experience. That was long before there was ever anything written and there was a book that we all had that we could flip pages to, because they didn't even have that.
You know what it's like? It's like we just celebrated the I don't know, it was like 15-year or 20-year death of Selena, right? Selena was like, I'm just pulling her because she's just in my brain. But let's say, you know, I don't think she spoke Spanish very well. But let's just say, just take a Spanish singer. That's probably a bad example. Someone who sings in Spanish, right?
Right.
Only, but they're shit bangs. It sounds dope. So you can have a gang of people who only speak English who are hella fans of the music. But it's all in Spanish. It's just like the music. They kind of learn the words so they can sing along, but they have no idea what the singer's actually saying. So good. Because actually a lot of people outside of America do that with rap music. You know, they love Tupac or they love Biggie, they love whatever, and they speak only German or they speak, but whatever it is, like let's say the singer sings in Spanish, but I love her and I listen to her all the time and I know all her songs. I know them. I don't know what she's saying, but damn, I love it. And they never take the time, like, well, why don't you just at least Google Translate or something, find out.
Right.
This song could be about like raping wolves in the forest or something. You don't know what it is.
And you're singing it with all your strength.
But you love it, right? But, you know, those are those people. And I know what you're talking about. It was the multitudes. And I think about 60 people, something like that, came to Jesus. And it is a good example of like relationships and what words you speak to certain people. And he knew how to do it. So it's like those people got another level of intimacy, of knowledge, and of a form of speech, right?
Right.
Then the next level for him was the 12, the disciples. Yeah. They would get the next level shit. Like, oh, they got that true shit, right?
Yeah.
And then it was
day-to-day shit. That's every day I'm with you shit.
Breaking it down and like, I'm gonna actually not only break this shit down, but I'm gonna teach you how to do this too. Put your hand in.
Right.
It again, brother. You know, he's teaching them the real shit. And then I think it was the 3 disciples that were real close to him that he would
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm gonna go pray. I need y'all to come with me. Like, y'all my squad.
Yeah.
And then the next level is just who you are all alone. And that's what Jesus, after they fell asleep and he stayed there, it's like, if you take that metaphor of your whole life, it's like, here's how you are in a huge public setting. Here's how you are like in a group setting. Here's how you are with your closest. Here's how you are with like your best.
Yeah.
Maybe your spouse or your kids or your best friend.
Right.
And here's how you are all alone.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know we're preaching right now. The Christians are like, this is I actually think I like it. I'm getting fed. I'm getting fed from this podcast. I never thought I was going to get fed from this podcast. So Jesus.
Hey, bro. Hey, and
see, you know what's funny
too.
is because it's two dudes who used to preach. You know, it's like, when you start touching on these subjects, it starts hitting those buttons. Like, oh, you know, I got you. Tag me in, Nesto.
Bro, listen. Exactly. And this is the funny thing too, because this is what I was gonna say in the beginning, and then remind me because I got to come back to an example that I got to give. But
okay.
this is what I was gonna say. What I was struggling with this is the moment I started, because I knew what I was gonna talk about, and I had some ideas and some shit that I skimmed over before. But when we were like, no, we're planning this, you know, you're gonna kick it off with this, you got to get into this, and I was like, oh my God, bro. When I started looking stuff up, it started pushing all those buttons, right?
Of course.
And I had to shift my mind into like, how do I do this? Because I'm not that old guy. So what I'm finding, I can't bring it out like it's quote unquote gospel. Whereas in times past, when you prepare something, you're preparing to give it to a crowd of people that have no questions. They believe whatever you're going to say because you're speaking from the mic in the pulpit, right? There's no like decision where is he coming from? It's just, no, I'm getting facts and here's what they are and here's what it is, right?
Right.
And there's no dialogue back and forth. There's no interjection. It's just you get to speak for an hour and a half or whatever, and then everybody's just listening, right?
Yeah.
So in preparing for this, it's a different type of preparing for me because it's like, that's not what I'm doing. I'm not preaching a sermon. I'm actually not even going to be like blogging this just to myself and people watch it later. That's a whole different mode. Like people do nowadays with different shit, not just sermons. Mm-hmm. So this was like, I don't want to do it like that. I don't want to put a point 1, point 2 and go through like a whole breakdown like I used to. I'm talking to Cook. A gang of people are going to see this and hear it. Maybe not a gang of people, maybe just a few. But I want it to be interactive. Yeah. And I want, because how you and I are, we have a shorthand because we're homies. Then we have a shorthand because we're ex-ministers.
Right, yeah.
Then we have a shorthand because we've been married before and know that, like, there's this whole thing, right? So in doing this, I had to keep that in mind and realize I'm just gonna open up a gang of pages because I was typing out shit. I was about to get into.
I know how you do. Yeah.
No. I'm gonna open up some pages. I'm gonna read through some things. I'm gonna know where to go, and then I'll just highlight it and hit it, and then we'll just be able to flow and talk. And this is gonna help me with the future ones. You know, because this is our first time doing this, dude.
Yeah.
We never get specific where we're like, turn to Matthew chapter.
What does that actually mean?
Okay, so here's another thing I want to bring up before we get back to this specifically about language. When we were on Felipe's Garage just last week, I forget if it was King or E. Green was talking about they were watching the movie The Platform, with the words overdubbed. Oh, it was King because he said he had the subtitles on and the words overdubbed. He noticed that they were saying something different than the subtitles,
which happens a lot with subtitles, by the way. Yeah,
homie, think about that right there. That's a whole sermon in itself, bro.
Lost in translation.
I was watching a documentary that was showing how, and this is on Netflix too, I forget the name of it right now, but it was showing how Jackie Chan got popular here in America, and it was talking about all the old style martial arts films and this like one company that was like Bogarting and taking all the business and mainly pushing out all these movies. And then there was an American company that was doing the overdubs, right? Bro, they were not even looking at the script or what these guys were saying. And this is interviews from the actual guys that were doing the voiceovers, saying they just watched the scenes and said whatever they wanted.
I love it. We used to do that in high school, bro. We'd mute a movie.
Oh, totally.
Mute a movie and just do it.
But to think, kids growing up watching it, you think that's what they're saying, even though you know it's overdubbed. In the back of your head, you would think, well, they're translating what they actually said to you.
And they're not.
Not at all.
So all that Wu-Tang shit about the Shaolin style and this is my Wu-Tang sword. Like
some of them, dude,
all
like
bullshit that just some actors were just like, either like got their coffee and cigarette. So what do you want to say here, Frank? Think of some Chinese shit. Wu-Tang, say that shit.
So this is the tie-in. This is the tie-in for the next thing that I want to get to within this within this
outline.
Your seminar, right. My non-outline.
Yeah, I know.
Which I'm never showing the screen over here.
I know, you're like, I'm not looking at an outline. I'm not.
But this is what's so powerful about it, and I know you can go off on a huge tangent with this one, bro. We can, as people, be affected by something in a specific way that wasn't even intended by the creator of that thing.
Of course.
Holy, how wild is that? And we can be inspired by something that necessarily wasn't that specific way to be presented.
Yeah.
But we're inspired. So is the inspiration the main goal, or is, wait a minute, what was said?
Yeah.
That's the same thing like with bringing it back to cuss words. There are some people that have been so inspired by stand-up comedy and some movies that had a gang of cussing in them. So inspired.
Yeah.
Much more than maybe a sermon, bro.
Yeah.
So inspired that they helped someone. They met someone they never would have. They did something they built an empire based on their inspiration from some stuff we would consider derogatory, maybe some people would, but really that's not what it became to them. That's not how it nourished them, right?
Yeah.
So check out these verses. I'm gonna read this.
Are we getting more scripture, bro?
Yeah, because this is what some.
Hey, yo, this is a holy podcast.
This is what I'm sure a lot of Christians get hung up on. In a way, is some of these verses.
My man Nesto got the Bible up on his computer screen. Damn.
All right, I'm going for it, yo. Now let me do this one. Okay.
I like that penguin on your chest. That nice penguin. We should try to create a cuss word, like just a regular, everyday, average word, and just keep saying it so much, see if we can turn it into a cuss word if it'll catch on. Other people will be saying it.
See if it catches on. Okay, so check these out. Now I'm gonna read all these. You don't have to turn to these. These are ones that I'm gonna read.
I'm not turning to any of them.
Yeah, right. I know, but just
turn your Bibles to
no.
Romans chapter 6.
You can comment about them or not, but I'm going to highlight one specific one. Okay, so check these out. These are some of the ones where I think people sometimes get hung up on the whole, man, watch what you say and blah, blah, blah. But we've already established, Jesus said the harshest one, man. So it's context. There's a lot when you look at these things. So Colossians 3:8. But now you must put them all away. Anger, wrath, malice, slander, and obscene talk from your mouth.
Right.
So that's a big one. And these are ones that I heard
growing up
before I ever heard the Jesus sermons or the full thing. I didn't hear the full thing until I was an adult, bro. I didn't even hear that.
It's not something people harp on. That's not stuff that brings in the people in the pews or brings the tithes in or brings whatever they do in. It's just kind of like a side thing.
Yeah. So to me, you have to put this in a context when you read it. Yeah, put away anger, wrath, malice, slander, and obscene talk. Right. Okay. But then it's like there's a category for that. Like you look at comedy, bro, and there are things in comedy that are offensive. But guess what? People were offended by Jesus.
Yeah.
So did he have to tiptoe? Was he supposed to? No, Jesus, you see the crowd ran. Now, don't say that. And there's some stuff he still said that made it into the book as being offensive.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, here's another one. Ephesians 4:29. This is the big one. Let no corrupt talk come out of your mouth, but only such as good for building up, as fits the occasion, that it may give grace to those who hear.
Yeah.
Some some cussing literally fits the occasion, I say.
Well,
And
yeah.
it's grace to the hearing.
I was checking out somebody who's like a language expert or whatever on YouTube, and they were breaking down like cuss words and stuff like that, and it was all
Oh,
categorical. So it was like, I can't remember now, like some that are like circumstantial cuss words. I don't know if that's an actual one, but it was like, so there were certain ones that were like, obviously, some that were literally created to be an offense, to be a derogatory, but most of them were
right.
not. They were just words, and they just kind of turned into, oh, now this means this or this means that. Like bitch is female dog, and it still means female dog. And in a lot, even in like dog shows and shit like that, it's still used. Vets use
Look
it.
at that.
Bring the bitch in now. You're like, whoa, dog.
Yeah. Right.
Chill, bro. Don't talk to my wife that way. No, I'm talking about your dog. Bring him in. Oh, okay.
The bitch in. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that it's still, but then there are some that are like specifically created. Yeah, I'm trying to
Yeah.
get hard at you for whatever reason, being probably like racial slurs or certain
Yeah,
words
yeah.
that are like really like clearly like we know what you mean. And it also it had to do with the occasion, what you're saying. As far as like it all goes back to also intent as well. You know what I mean? Because you
Yeah.
could have like I don't know, like you could, for example, you could joke with me about like Puerto Rican shit, and I'm not going to be offended. We're going to laugh about it. But like somebody else who's not close to me, you know, and just to kind of like what I'm just agreeing with what
Right.
you're saying.
Right.
Basically, it's like, and so I mean that says let nothing come out your mouth though. Only stuff that builds people up. So
Yeah.
I'm losing.
I know that's
Whoops.
areas to grow in. I mean,
Hey,
for real, just challenging yourself as a person. That's what that comes down to.
Yeah.
There's no hellfire judgment on this type of shit. These
But
are
look,
these are things. It's like,
but no, I was going to say though, at the same time, again, everything is also culturally too, right?
yeah,
So nobody's going to burn in hell for saying fool anymore. But that's because, not because the Bible or God changed it. It's just because the earth changed it, the people. It just,
you're right.
which
Yeah.
I'm not going to go down that rabbit trail, but to me that says we are dictating this shit, you know, and it's like,
Yeah.
you know, even, and I've said that before, like churches tend to move the goalposts a lot based on modern culture. As culture grows, they're almost forced to. It's like the trash compactor in Star Wars. Like they're being forced to like climb higher, move to a different spot because the walls are closing in on them. And if they don't, they're going to get crushed and left behind. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't want to go too off on that tangent, but it does seem to me like, you know, it challenging too. Like earlier you were like, well, you can't be the same way every time. Why aren't you real, fool? Why aren't you real? It's like, well, why aren't you? Like, if you're really real, then there's a lot of stuff you're not doing in your own book. Like,
Bro. Yeah. Yeah.
but I think,
mean, there's.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, for what we're talking about, though, what it boils down to for me personally is I am zero offended with bad words, right?
Right.
Maybe not zero. That's probably not true because there's certain things that just hit me, but I would say I'm zero to the point where I don't feel like I need to check people when they say things. Like people they're free to say what they want. I may not like it, or I may not use certain words because they just bother me personally. But if somebody else uses them, then I'm like, all right, whatever, it's cool. And then something, I don't know if you were getting ready to get into this too, but you were talking about the difference. There's like what we call it, like when we say bad words, and how you said a lot of people, you know, it's called cussing, which I don't even know where that word came from. But a lot of people say you're using curse words too. Mm-hmm. I know you were talking something about that. I'm sure you're getting ready to go into that, but like, how do you see, do you think that that's significant too? Like the difference in the, you know, as far as not even just what the actual words are being said, but
like how there's a verse that says, let no profane or vain babbling come out of your mouth, only what's, you know, good and helpful. So profanity comes from that. That's our English word, profanity, right? Yeah. And then you look at swearing back in that day. swearing an oath is what they were more into. When you swear by something, it was like, it's like the energy that you're putting into a swear. And then that's later translated to us as he's swearing, cussing, short for cursing. A lot of these things are so mixed up because at the time, you know, in the English language, the Bible was the first English book, like translated book that we had into a vernacular that we could speak. And that was like the foundation of, you know, the world at that time. So whatever the standard and the practices from that, the people that were lording over that, you know, Roman Catholicism at the time, that's what we come under. So whatever is said, it's a this, it's a that, that's what we had. And then later and later, as it branches out, people just take that on in their society. You know what I mean? Little by little. It's so wild. And then like there's a verse that says, the letter kills, but the spirit gives life. There's a lot of contradictory stuff to putting all of your energy in words versus being led by the spirit in you. That's like the New Testament way is walking by the spirit versus quotations. Because think about how many people didn't have a book that were walking in the spirit before a book was ever created. Right. So we try to lock people into a book and the words that are in a book. That's death. That's boxing in something that's supposed to be free and loose and powerful, right? Yeah. So, you know.
An easy example of that is like if you had like a relationship book and you're with your wife or your girlfriend or whatever, and like you're like, okay, hold on a sec. Okay, so you should tell her you love her. I love you. Hold on. You should give her a hug. Okay, I'm gonna hug you now because it's versus like, oh, I love you, and you're like, there's a spirit behind that. There's an intent behind that. Whatever. Yeah. So I think that to me also is like the difference between cussing or cussing at someone or cursing. Because if you want to say what like a curse is, it's like wishing something bad on somebody, right? Yeah. Okay, so all the Christians, if we're on here talking about like, hey, we just read this verse, and I say, I don't know what the fuck that means. Yeah. The cuss word. But if I was on here and we talk about something and I say, hey, Christians, fuck you. It's a little more like a curse word. That's intent. It's like aiming an arrow and shooting it at somebody, right? Yeah. And I think that's a big difference there. So if we lose and we're like, man, that shit is wild, then you can choose to feel like we're attacking you or that you're deeply offended by that shit. Okay. Yeah. We've made the decision we're going to be us, and whatever comes out of our mouth, you know, we're going to say. I mean, not whatever, but you know what I mean? Like we're not going to be so scared if we accidentally say damn or something. Yeah. Because it's not a religious podcast in that sense. We're not trying to help you grow as a Christian or whatever. We're just talking about ideals and issues and things. Yeah. We're going to be ourselves. Yeah. And if we came on here and we were like, yeah, you know what? Fuck, you're a piece of shit. You know? Okay, I get it. I can see why you might.
We just don't even talk like that.
But something might come up. And maybe I will be that way. I don't know. Yeah. If we talk about something I could say right now, we'll both want to say, fuck those pieces of shit.
Yeah. That's right.
We might say that. And if we do and we offend you, then we are sorry. But that is the energy I'm trying to put forth, and it is how I feel. Yeah. So that's going to be how I think the podcast is going to go going forward. Like we could probably curse without saying bad words, because we'll be saying some shit about things we disagree with vehemently, wholeheartedly, and it's going to come across like that. Yeah. And it's going to come across like, I don't fuck with y'all. That's how it's going to come across when we're saying it. And so then you can choose, and I'm okay with that. Again, I guess it's almost like we're setting rules right now for the podcast, right? Mm-hmm. But to me, I'm saying like, if I say shit, that shit is crazy, or how was your week, man? It was some wild shit this week. Please get over yourself and keep listening to that. Literally, if you turn it off because of that, then your soft ass baby ears were never meant for this podcast. That's true. Am I lying, right?
Yeah, no, for sure.
God damn.
Well, bro, they also can't handle some action movies and a lot of shit that's out there. That's just
so regular. If you can't handle regular shit in the planet, then we're not for you. So get over yourself, keep listening. And I would even challenge you that if we say something that directly aims something maybe at a belief that you actually have, I would ask, not in a diss way, but get over yourself again and send us an email or somewhere, at least dialogue with us, or at least give us a chance to, over the course of many episodes, explore the ideas. Maybe we bring on a guest that speaks your point of view and maybe learn something, right?
Right.
But don't just give up just because we disagree with some you like, unless it's just, you just can't handle it. Then your little baby ears, you weren't meant for this podcast. And that's what it is. And that's cool. I'm saying baby ears, I'm joking, but you know what I mean? It's like, if it ain't for you, it ain't for you, bro. You know, someone told me this week I rap whack. I know I don't rap whack. If they ain't feeling me, if it ain't for you, it ain't for you. You know what I'm saying? That's many times I've heard that. Whatever, bro. I've heard it. You know, that's why it's like, if you hear the compliments and you hear the disses, don't put too much weight into either one of them. Just be who you are. And that's what we're kind of doing here. It's like, if they diss us for saying this, or if they diss us because we don't go hard enough on this side, or whatever, that, okay, I'm down to consider everything. Like, your podcast is whack. You don't talk about this. You talk too much about that. Cool. I'm down to, like, read your email, consider what you're saying. But, like, when it comes down to it, it's like, we got to do us, right? And so do the people listening. They have to be themselves. And if they, you know, and I would encourage people too, like, this is just me. Like, I think people probably that are, you know, more of their religious side of things, I think they can relax a little bit more than they do. So, like, if you're rolling along and your kid frustrates you and you say, cut that shit out, it's okay. It's normal. You know, Jesus said raka. You know what I'm saying? Jesus called people
for 2,000 years of people to read.
Yeah, at least. No one, and assuming the book goes on, it could be 3, 4, 5,000. Who knows?
Right.
We'll talk about that in later episodes too. I got some ideas on that. Opinions.
So true though, dude. So true. And then, like, to your point, you know, we never meet anybody with a whole list. I mean, sometimes we have it in our mind, but we don't meet people with a list of rules and standards that they need to abide by before we continue to talk to them right then. It's like, hold on, you're right. Nice to meet you. Do you believe in? How do you feel about? What about? We don't do that.
Nobody does that.
No, you start talking to somebody, you hang. Just because we're online now, I think people's minds is at a whole different level of what they can say and what they hate, what they don't like. It's like, dude, we're the same. We're the same. We're regular ass people. It's just we're talking for a long time, and now you're able to chime in whatever the fuck you want, whenever you want now. But if we were in a dialogue, if we were all sitting around talking together at a park or somebody's house or just hanging out, and you came into the middle of it and started talking, we'd all be dialoguing one at a time. It wouldn't be like, now you shut up. I'm speaking for 30 minutes exactly. Then write me a text of what you wanted to say, and we'll talk later. That's not how it works.
That's kind of how the podcast works, though.
I know. That's how podcasts are.
1 hour. You will shut up and listen.
Yeah. But we're not. But what we're saying is, you know, we're regular ass dudes. This is not, because of our past, we're trying to downplay that so much. To show that we're open to everything now. We're not coming at people like, this is what's right, this is what's wrong. It's none of that. We're saying we're searching for what's really real. Now, in the search, we got the same access that you guys do. Online, books, research, your past, right, experiences.
Everything.
And so we're putting that together on each topic. We're searching for what's really real. So we're talking about cuss and cussing and cursing and slander and blasphemy and these type of things within the context specifically of what Jesus said. I'm not even getting into Paul, Peter, some of the wild shit they said that's literally on there. One of these guys in a verse is comparing something with dung, and the word that's translated is really shit. Boom. Dung.
There you go.
Shit, bro. Shit. So, okay, shit. That is a sailor term that from the manuscripts, when they would turn in and they would have these boxes of dung, they wrote store high in transit.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true.
Store high in transit?
I did a little research on that, and they said that that's not necessarily true. I've heard of that. It's it makes perfect sense because they would put the manure and
Totally
shit.
makes sense.
But I think that might not be true. See,
That may not be where the English word comes from.
maybe, yeah. I think there's another origin of it.
Really?
I
But
literally
what was it?
just-
You didn't see it?
I don't remember because I literally was just listening to that guy talk right before this, and I watched 3 videos, and all 3 of them said a common belief is that it comes from the store high in transit.
Store and
Which
transit.
made I was like, perfect, we're done. He goes, but it's actually, and they're like, they would go into other explanations and stuff like that. But I heard a lot, like in a short period of time. So I kind of
Really? Well, maybe so.
but
Maybe so.
But you know what? It is examples like that a lot of times.
Yeah.
That where the cuss words come from. You know what I mean?
Yeah, our English word. I mean, none of the cuss words that we have, which are really slang words, none of them come from like a seance in a satanic warehouse where people were like, these are the words that will damn the souls of the righteous.
Yeah,
there was never anything like
Nothing
that.
It's like we calling each other dude. Hey, dude. And dude is like what? A pimple on the butt of a donkey or some shit like that.
Right.
These dudes off this mare.
And that's one. Donkey, bro, was ass back in the day. And then we use it as our own ass, like that, from butt cheeks to ass.
Yeah.
And it was I mean, dude, right?
Yeah, they would call the back of ships the ass.
The ass of the ship.
Eventually it just comes. And dick, that's a good one. There were so many people. There were so many people in England named Richard at a certain point in time, like in the 1800s or some shit like that. Was like massive amounts of Richards. It was like the most popular name. And the short name is for Richard. Some people say Rich, but Richard is Dick.
Yeah.
So
but why?
I don't know, but so there were so many dicks around that it came to represent. Listen, it came to represent like these men, because everybody's named fucking Richard. So it just went from being men, these dicks, these blokes, these dicks, that went to penis, and now we're saying penis, dick. Hey, get your out of here, and it just became that, and then eventually you're a dick, bro, because it, whatever. But that's the nature of it. Which I have a funny story. So my mom, she grew up super like in the church and stuff like that. And she was always acting all like, prissy. I know she had her little wild out times a little later. But in high school, she had I kid you not, dog. One of her first boyfriends in high school was some white dude, and his name was Dick Balls. I swear to God. His name was Dick Balls, homie. I always be clowning my mom so hard. I said, you used to date a dude named Dick Balls? And she would say, no. Well, I used to call him Richard. First of all, if my name is Richard, you're going to call me Rich.
Yeah.
Call me Dick. But he was like, hey, hi, I'm Dick. I'm Dick. Dick. Yeah, Dick what? Dick Balls.
Balls,
Dude,
bro.
Now that's a perfect example of his parents cursing him. Because if your last name is Balls, you don't name your kid first name Dick.
Yeah.
That's madness. You know what I'm saying?
And imagine the conversations too. This Dick over here, Dick. This Dick.
Hey,
Yeah,
Dick.
that Dick. This
Hey,
Dick.
Balls. Come here, Balls. You know you call people by their last name. Hey, Balls. Come here. Dude, why would you call him Balls? That's messed up. Well, that's his last name. Well, at least call him by his first name. All right, hey, Dick. Come here, Dick. Oh, never mind.
Wow.
Call him Balls.
Look at that. Look at that, dude.
Bro, I know.
But that's so good. And
yeah.
just like you said in the beginning, your homeboy named Raka. That's really, really huge, bro.
Yeah.
Because that translation of his name in another country in another time is very offensive. Very offensive.
Yeah.
That's his name.
And then I'll say this too. It's almost like my little history with cussing. So my mom was very like Christian-y, like we don't say that, So like for her to even tell me her dad's or one of her first boyfriends was Dick Balls was like a big deal. And then my dad was super loose. Like if you remember my story, he like was Catholic. And a lot of Catholics are just like whatever. Like Sunday, I'll just go to confession and then we wild in these streets. A lot of Christians,
right.
Not everybody's like that. But I'm just saying like. So he was more wild out and then he got saved. But he always kept that wild out energy. He always kept I am me regardless, which is dope about him. I love that, like cross the board. And I probably said this, I don't remember if I said this when I was giving my life story and shit like that. But so I grew up going to Christian school where you were not, if you said damn, I don't even know if you could say dang. You know what I mean? Like it was hardcore.
Yeah.
You get detention, you get suspended. If you said a cuss word, you get suspended, for real. And when I was really young, they would swat you in the school. Matter of fact, my church would swat you. I think I talked about that in the thing. Anyway, so my pops would, it's like, it was sort of like do as I say, not as I do. Because he would, he never used the F word. That's true. But everything else, he was very loose with the tongue, like whatever, right? To the point of like when he would pray to God that way. So let's say we were having financial problems or whatever. This fool would be like, damn, Jesus, you got to help me out with this shit, man. I mean, what the hell's going on? Like super real.
Wow.
Real. So do I think my dad was cursing at God? Never. I mean, how much realer could you be? And like pastors and a lot of people would know he would pray like that. And they'd be like, well, what can I say? I mean, how much more honest can you be than just be as real? And so he was always like that. The funny thing too is the way he spoke to me. I grew up growing up. Hey, get over here, asshole. Come here, you little bastard. Like to the point, like if you didn't call me asshole or bastard, I don't think you love me, Dad. Like this, like that's how it was. So when I was really young, I cussed a lot. And then the school kept driving it home to me driving. And eventually when I really started like getting involved in church and doing LA Symphony and doing all that, I was like, no, I'm cussing. Like it would be like we would say it and it was so taboo that it would be like a crazy joke to say a cuss word. Like, what?
Yeah.
Chill. That's hilarious. Chill though. Don't do it. You know, like what's going to happen? Like lightning.
Yeah.
And the earth opens up. And, does it go down into hell just for saying hell? Yeah. So when we got our first record deal, it was a Christian label, but they were like us, like we're trying to do stuff like they had, you know, I think I probably told this as part of my story too. I mean, everyone knows this, but it's important just to establish that they were Christian because they had Christian bands that were just doing regular shit, like Sixpence None the Richer. They were like movie soundtracks, multi-platinum. And if you didn't know their background, you didn't even know they were Christian, right?
Right.
And then there was a couple other groups. And then the people who worked at the label, there was one dude in particular who was like from the label who was assigned to us to like work with us on the day-to-day and stuff like that. So when they started flying us out to places, this guy would be there. Really cool white dude, just wild out guy. He's like, hey, what's up, guys? You know, whatever. Bro, and then like from the day one, we land in the plane, boom, we're there with this guy. He's like, yeah, man, this fucking shit, man, let's go. And we're like, what? Yeah, and we're like, this guy's a Christian? What's happening right now? He's like, yeah, man, this is bullshit. But come on, man, let's go get some fucking lunch. You guys ready? I'm like, just like a sailor. And we're like, we're laughing because it's a taboo to us. It's where like children all of a sudden go, he said dick. You know, like, yeah, this guy's a dick. And he was just like super regular. Like super regular. And we're like, oh, yeah, bro. And we like repressed that from us because, well, no, that's what we're supposed to do. Because Jesus, the Bible, God, church, that's what everything's telling us, you know, no corrupt communication, you know, no profanity, no this, no that, blah, blah. So we're not doing it. Even though all of us had a past of it, like, yeah, when I was young, fuck, shit, damn, whatever. You just, whatever. That's how people talk. So we hear this guy, we're like, oh, shit. And then later, we start touring. We start showing up at these big Christian festivals, like big ones, where like the biggest Christian bands from everywhere was coming. DC Talk, Newsboys, like big. So we're backstage, this little group just trying to be holy and shit. And like we're around all these bands and you hear these guys smoking cigarettes. We're like, dude, they're smoking back here. What's happening? Yeah, with my fucking drums, bro. Yeah, what the hell? We're like, dude, super open. Like maybe not as loose as I'm saying it, but kinda. Like maybe not out loud where the kids hear and everybody hears, but like when they're talking to each other, they're talking to us, and it almost felt like they knew if we were backstage. It kind of felt like, oh, these guys are in the club, like they're in.
Yeah.
Nutty, come on, you're a Mason, you're good. We'll show you our symbols. So it was like we're backstage, and they're like, yeah, this is bullshit, but whatever. You want some fucking pizza? Like it was like, so we were just shocked, bro. Like literally, like we're trying so hard to be a certain way. These people say they're Christian too. Like. I went to church with this guy in his church on Sunday because we're in his town, but him and his band are like, yeah, fuck that shit. Like, whoa. And, you know, obviously it's probably not every single person, but that was blowing our minds. And to the degree that it was no big deal to them is what was blowing our minds too. And at the time I was like, they're sinning, or this isn't right, or whatever. And looking back, I'm like, those guys were some cool ass dudes. Like, they were like really cool back then. Like, we're relaxed. We're not all pent up. So whatever. I mean, to me, like, once I started shedding a lot of the whatever, I'm like, I'm just gonna talk how I talk. Like, why hold back? Like, if I want to say it, I'm gonna say it now. You know what I mean? And so I don't know. I mean, we probably should wrap it up, but I just wanted to tell you, like, that's kind of like what happened to me in the Christian music market, how clear that was and prevalent.
Yeah.
It was pretty.
And you didn't have that, like, that inherent fear that what you're saying is going to cause something bad to happen.
No,
or like,
it's just
God. Like, it's, man, but it's hurt.
No, I think I thought it offended God. It's where you get mixed up, and what you do as a human being is you still, no matter what you think about, oh, I'm serving God, or I'm following the Bible, you still mold that shit according to your morals, your beliefs, and your whatever's in your mind, and how you were raised and how you were conditioned. It's like you still conform that to conditioning. So you can have a broad spectrum. You could go to a little ass church with like 50 people in it, and all 50 people agree on the doctrine. They all agree on the tenets of the church, and they all agree with the pastor and say amen when he preaches. And every one of them, there's a little tweak in their life. Like, well, I go play bingo, so why can't I go to Reno and gamble?
Yeah.
Why? We have wine every night, but that's not really bad. I drink 2, sometimes 4. Like, every one of them in a tiny church, not a big one. So I mean, so to me, I didn't ever really feel like God was going to strike me with lightning. I did feel it was bad though for a lot of years. Like, oh man, don't do it. And especially to like curse on songs. Whoa, that was not even if we started getting a little loose with jokes and saying curse, there was no, and to this day, even we the last LA Symphony album in 2014, because people have varying degrees of what they agree upon about religion, spirituality, whatever, it just was across the board. Well, we've always just said, whatever you do on your own records, like no cussing on LA Synth records. It's just something. So I just agreed to it. All right, cool. I'm like, who cares, right? But just going back to one of the reasons why he's cussing my dad. It's like, this is a guy I adore. I idolize my dad. He's everything. He's teaching me everything about life, and he cusses all the time. And he goes to church, and he drinks beer all the time. All the time. Beer, wine. He gets drunk. I watch him get drunk. Him and my mom, like, all the time. They party. When we go to church on Sunday, he says, God help me out with this shit, but yet he's for real about this. So like, I saw that and I was like, well, I'm not scared that God's going to strike me. My dad, I mean, unless like, I won't get too far into it. But it's like, whatever. But I just felt like, well, but it's bad, and it's a bad witness, I think. You know what I mean? But now people, that's what I was saying earlier, trying to use it like it's a good witness. Like, no, see, I'm cool, bro. I say hell and damn.
I know.
So now I'm trying to flip it. So that's what I'm saying. Like, they are. I mean, that's fine. It's what happens. It's just I want people to be honest about it. It's what happens. You can't advance as a society and then still, adhere to certain aspects of religion. It doesn't work. Even as tight as the Muslim religion. The Muslim religion is, Islam. Even that, there's certain aspects or certain people or certain groups that are like, well, we don't really do that anymore. And like, it's not really like, even as hardcore as they are, it's like, there's a lot of Jews that don't even believe in God. They're just like, well, we just fuck with Passover. We like the food and the family thing.
Yeah.
We don't really this gotcha. Like, so to be hung up on cussing when there's like bigger spiritual issues that you guys are getting loose on, like tons of people don't even believe in hell anymore. A lot of groups of Christians don't even believe that. Some people believe everybody's going. Like, there's so many different, and it's all according to your conditioning and how you're brought up and done.
And they all have backup scriptures for a lot of
that. Well, we backed up our point with scripture today.
One of the times it affected me the most was when I heard a pastor say that if you're chewing gum in church, this is when we were teenagers.
Yeah.
Me and John and B and all them, when we were going to this one church, it was like, if you're chewing gum in church, that's disrespectful to the Holy Ghost. And the Holy Spirit is offended by that.
Jesus Christ.
Homie,
Talk about a pressure.
I was like, and we believed that. At that time, we were like, oh, shit. So it was like, come out. Not even,
wearing hats
even
in
going
church.
like this.
That was another
Not
one.
even just to say, hey, guys, don't chew gum while we're in church. We just don't want it.
Yeah.
Out of respect, okay.
Yeah.
All right, we won't chew gum in church.
Once you put it on
But when
God,
you
it's
say-
like, on God? On God? Like,
So, again, bro, what that does to your thinking about this God even, like, it makes me like,
yeah.
this dude is offended by chewing gum?
Right.
You're telling me he sees and knows everything. And some of the shit he's saying, the gum is affecting him?
That's the thing. That's the thing we're talking about. I mean, look at like Catholics and stuff. They're like, yo, I can't eat chicken. Not on Friday. Don't eat the chicken on Friday because, yo, God is going to be so angry. Like, angry about that, bro? Like,
Oh, man.
this is a lot more stuff.
Well, just, and again,
Yeah.
this goes off in so many different directions.
Of course. Yeah. Well, let's wrap it up. So you give your final summation of the points that you want the people to understand and know about cursing, cussing, or us using certain language, like whatever. However you wrap it up.
So I'll just say this: as a foundation, being Christianity, the Bible, Jesus, just wanting to pull out the fact that Jesus did cuss in some sermons. It was written down and recorded, and it was in multiple times, probably even more than what was recorded, because he hung with fishermen, and there's a lot of stories of him drinking and being out, and what was said about him, even from people that saw him from afar. That we'll get into another time, because there's a verse of scripture that I'm sure a lot of people skim over that says, when we talk about your integrity and what you look like to other people and how you present yourself, there's some slanderous stuff that was said about him that's even written down, dude, that we even have recorded, that like slid past some of the people that put the Bible together even. But when we look at certain of these things, hopefully we see what emphasis is placed on words and the kind of words, the heart behind them. We didn't get really that far into, but we did a little bit. But as far as what we say when it comes to slang words, the terms of our day, versus slanderous cursing words, the terms of their day, and how Jesus and other disciples and apostles spoke like that, and not to attack someone and hurt someone, but learning even how to balance what they say and where they say it. Yeah. That's what it comes down to. Yeah. So that being the foundation, which again, like you talked about in the beginning, we didn't have to get into all this. We could have just been hitting our topics, cussing our asses off, and saying whoever who has a problem with it, fuck off, we don't care. But I really,
but those are people we want to talk to.
Right. But we really wanted to make sure that everybody knows the heart, even where we're coming from when we're talking about all this shit, because we don't have a disclaimer before Felipe's Garage. We talk how we talk. But when it comes about these topics, we want people that maybe don't listen to that or listen to other things to hop in here and to understand where we're coming from as we cuss. We're not meaning it to hurt someone or derogatory. That's just our dialogue. It's slang. It's like regular language,
Well said. Well said. The only thing I'll add to that is, hey, we're just two regular guys. We're actually super nice, friendly dudes. Like, we don't, like, not just cuss words, but anything we say on here, we do want to voice our opinions. But dude, we've said it before. We love people. Like, we love everybody. Like, we're cool with everybody. And like, we're trying to, we're gonna obviously have the people that agree with us, and there'll be sort of a pack of them, and there will be lots of people that disagree with us, that dislike us for our viewpoints. But at the end of the day, we know that we love all people, and we're down. We're like, we're not trying to cause division. We're not trying to wreck nobody's lives. We're just trying to discuss things, right? So whether it's cuss words or whether it's the actual content of what we're saying, we're promising you that we're not coming from a place of trying to offend you or trying to hurt you or trying to belittle a person. Now, I always say, like, I don't want to disrespect people, but I may not have total respect for ideas. That's separate from the person, because there's probably ideas that I have other people wouldn't respect, and then when they check me on it,
Right.
You're kind of right. I need to drop that. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah.
If I allow them to offend me and say, you don't like my idea, that means you don't like me. No, fool. If we're like brainstorming and I say something and you guys, that's a whack idea. I need to be strong. Hey, like, you mean I'm whack? No, man, you're not whack, bro. That's just, you had a bad idea, bro. Let's move on. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if we don't totally respect all of your ideas or your beliefs or whatever, that doesn't mean we don't love you. We don't, that's the reason why we're talking about it.
Yeah.
If there's a reason that you have that we should respect that idea, ReallyThoPodcast at gmail.com is where you, and I swear to God, we will talk to you about it.
Yeah, man. I love it.
And in the future, we're going to have guests on too. So you know what?
Yeah.
Even, I don't know if I'm just thinking this, but I'll be open too, because I know a lot of times people hear discussions like this and they're like, oh, I wish he could just talk to my pastor. I bet you my pastor would check him, or my pastor, whatever. Like, I'm actually open to your suggestion. At least we can vet them out.
Bro, absolutely. Listen, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Because we already discussed what we plan on doing is having some guests that don't believe like we do, like that believe the opposite, and not in an argumentative sense, but really are accurate with what they believe, and they're strong with it, and just bring that in the mix so we can talk, have a dialogue.
Exactly. Strong, great discussions, and we're not trying to debate you. It's not like we're trying to one up and debate. Yeah, but we won today. We won. Like, we may walk away from a conversation like, damn, you're kind of right. All right, here's up at really low. Like, we're out of here, but this guy was right today. That's the point of it. So I'm saying all that to say that, everything that we do is based from a place of love and respect. And we just want to grow as people, and we would hope that people will come along with us. So please email us, ReallyThoPodcast at gmail.com. We have the merch site. The link is down there. It's too long to say, so just click on it. Get a t-shirt, get some socks, get whatever. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? To get some really
socks, yo.
Bro, imagine having matching t-shirt, matching socks. And if you get one, take a picture and send it to us, man. You can follow us on Instagram at ReallyThoPodcast. And we will retweet anybody's picture with a t-shirt on. That'd be amazing. You can get the old logo too.
Yeah.
With the yellow ride, and I'm down with that. Well, send us pics, man. Whatever you buy, man. And if from jump, it supports the podcast, helps us keep going, man. So we really appreciate you guys. Thanks for listening to us ramble and tell our stories, and quote scripture. Nesto was preaching today for sure. You was preaching, bro. You had a preacher demeanor too. You're like Ephesians 5:23. Philippians 6. Like, you was coming with it, man. And I like that. I like that about you, man. So anyway, man, let's get out of here, bro. This is really and what are we doing here, man?
Searching for what's really real.
Enough said. Peace.
The point cannot be explained in words.